So Hurricane Milton is going around and going over us right now. So we finally got the little ones down and we're just kind of hanging out and figuring out what's going to happen storm-wise, watching the weather, and just going to be jumping on here to be able to answer some questions. And I was hungry, so I'm eating some of my cereal. So if you guys are new here, I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to help provide awareness of narcissistic abuse. And I work to help people that are stuck in toxic relationships learn how to actually be free. So I work with a lot of women who have been trapped in a toxic relationship, toxic love, being trapped inside of the trauma bond, the addictive cycle of being with and going back to a toxic guy, how to actually break free fully. So drop any questions that you have in the chat and I'll answer them as we jump in. Or I'll just eat my bowl of cereal. That works too. Then it doesn't get soggy. So far where we're at right now, we've just got a bunch of wind and rain. Nothing too crazy yet. We'll see how long the power lasts. Anyways, if you have any questions about narcissism, narcissistic abuse, how to heal from it, how to move forward, going to be on here for a couple minutes just answering some questions while we wait and see what's happening with the storm. Why my narcissist husband, after begging me not to divorce him, now signed the divorce papers? The begging wasn't because he didn't want to divorce you. He actually wanted to divorce you the entire time. The begging was so that he would look good and feel good about himself that he actually tried. That's it. It wasn't because he actually wanted you. He wanted the divorce all along, and he just wanted it to not be just coming from him because he didn't want to look like the bad guy. It's all about image. How do narcissists become narcissists? Typically, it goes back to trauma, whether that could be emotional, mental, physical, sexual, different pieces like that. Just a piece of even not having, being able to process like the emotions correctly, not being able to process guilt or shame correctly. Big piece of that. Austin, I don't understand your question. Yeah, that's the thing. I have a video that talks about narcissists at the end of the relationship that will change or try to appear like they actually want the relationship when they don't. How many times did the discard Hoover cycle happen with you and your wife? There's many times where she threatened to leave. Many times where she like left and came back simply because she was in such a trauma bond, like she wouldn't stay gone for a long period of time. And so it got to the place where she finally did. I don't remember how many times though. Hoovering after 3 months of leaving me and my son, what could she possibly want since I say I don't want you and she keeps saying I love you? Trying to get a reaction, response, get back with you, get control over you. That's what it's typically about. It's all about control. Crazy thing happened about a week and a half ago. I got a gun pointed at me. That is kind of crazy. You need to make sure that you're safe. When you're dealing with a narcissist or a toxic relationship, oftentimes anything will be on the table, especially if they feel like they're losing control over you. So if you guys are new here, just tuning in, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness about narcissistic abuse and help people heal, grow, and change and transform their lives instead of being stuck in a constant cycle or a trauma bond and addiction, going back to the toxic guy over and over and over again. So I work with women to try to be able to break them free. And I also work with a few men that have identified their narcissistic traits of how to help them stop being liars and actually show up in a healthy way. Not as many guys reach out, but that's why the majority of what we talk about deals with the guy being the narcissist and the woman being the abused, because that's the main people that I work with. All that being said, if you have any questions about narcissism, narcissistic abuse, or healing from it, drop it in the chat and let's talk about it. Women can be narcissists too, for sure. Just not what I speak on. How can you make them aware to become? How can you make them aware to become aware and work on themselves and go to therapy since they don't want to? Short answer: you can't, and you can't manipulate the other person to be able to change, grow, and develop. But you can focus on your growth and your development, and they'll either see it and rise up, or you'll continue to grow and develop, and you'll leave. The fact of the matter is, you can't force them. You can't force a narcissist to be aware. There's not a magic pill. There's not something that just makes sense. And you're like, oh, if I do this, then it's magically going to happen. No. Biggest thing to help a narcissist become aware: leave. Focus on you. Grow and develop you. You waste so much time trying to convince a wall to change. And in reality, like, he doesn't even care. When does narcissistic abuse end? Will a children turning 18 have the abuse end? No. It ends when you put a stop to it, because you're the one that controls how much it affects you. So, for instance, I'm assuming that there's kids in the mix, and you're talking through will it end after the kids turn 18. It will only end to the degree that you allow it to end. So if you cut off all communication and set up healthy boundaries so that he doesn't communicate to you or through the kids to you, then it ends, because you no longer have the abuse happening to you. But if he still gets through and still has an opportunity to be able to walk through whatever doors to be able to interact and mess with you, it won't end. Why? Because he's going to get a reaction or response from you. My awareness journey, I won't go into all the pieces of it. I've got a couple of videos on it, but it was a journey. And the reason why I said it was a journey, because it wasn't just like a light bulb moment. There was this piece of like a dimmer switch slowly being turned on, realizing that I connected differently with different people, that I didn't have the same type of empathy, connection, emotional piece with other people, that my personality was different. Started going down these roads, started to deal with shame, like started to understand that I had shame, didn't know anything about narcissism, but knew I had shame. Eventually went to like a sexual addiction intensive, realized that that wasn't the issue, that it was actually more underlying of narcissism. Started going to therapy, EMDR therapy, regular therapy. So like my whole journey coming to a place of awareness, I had a pretty good idea that that's what I was dealing with before I even went to therapy. And so that was a big piece. I also went through a couple different therapists, because like one of them wanted to convince me that it was just like ADD, and one of them was just like super judgmental. And I was like, well, I'm not safe opening up to you. Like, so there's a lot of different pieces in that journey. He's turning the children against you. So a big piece of this is you have to show up honest to you and not even try to turn the kids against him or even justify what's happening. You have to be able to just be honest with the kids when they ask, and you have to continue living life for you and focusing on you showing up in a healthy way, and they'll see that. Many times people try to be able to fix the kids, save the kids, be able to just make it better, right? Even get the kids into therapy. But the problem is, if you don't heal, nothing else matters. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness about narcissistic abuse. I also work with narcissistic abuse survivors to help them find freedom, actually break the trauma bond, get rid of the triggers, help them move forward inside their healing. Oftentimes people don't have closure, so they don't know how to actually move forward. Once you can understand that the guy in your life actually doesn't care about you, and the reason why you keep going back to him is because you have this addiction, then we have to start working on you actually changing your mindset. How to actually be free, how to actually rewire the story you're telling yourself. So anyways, if you have any questions about narcissism, narcissistic abuse, drop it in the chat. A lot of times in these lives, I'll just kind of riff through comments and just answer it as best I can as we go. Now that I got my evening snack in, I'm ready to roll. So if you got any questions, drop them in the chat. We'd love to be able to answer. We'd love to be able to help you as you move forward inside the pace of healing from narcissistic abuse. If you don't heal from narcissistic abuse, you're going to stay stuck. You're going to keep oscillating back because of the initial image, whether that comes from your childhood, whether that comes from previous relationships. So there's no hope that narcissists will ever care about you. Not if this person's not willing to be honest and honest with themselves, then no, because they don't automatically care about you to start off with. So they're not going to just automatically change. What are some of the best ways to break the trauma bond? Work on changing the story you're telling yourself. Ultimately, the only reason why you stay in a trauma bond, the way you stay addicted, is based on the logic and the heart not being connected. So if we can connect those two by helping you actually reframe the story you're telling yourself, that's where ultimately you get free. Why can't I be a narcissist? I want to take narcissist training course. Why would you even want to be? Like, do you want to be an abuser? Like, if so, get off my platform. I'm trying the Gray Rock method. Works well until he uses the kids as pawns. Yeah, you have to be careful with the Gray Rock method because sometimes it'll piss them off even more. And sometimes the Gray Rock method will look abusive to other people. So you have to be really careful because the kids might look at the Gray Rock method being like, oh, you're just giving dad the silent treatment. So sometimes when we're dealing with kids, what we typically describe and talk about is using the BIF method. Brief, informative, friendly, and firm. It's a great way to be able to deal with high conflict divorces, high conflict situations, be able to help you work on communicating to this person, but not getting sucked into their toxic environment. Is narcissism genetic or environmental? I believe that some people are genetically predisposed to be open to it, but I think it's 100% environmental because it's based on the choices that are actually happening in your world and in your life. So like when a narcissist is formed, it's based on how they're actually dealing with shame and guilt and processing all this stuff. I don't know how much you guys can hear like the rain. It's like hitting the window back there pretty hard. Broke the trauma bond, now I know things won't get any better. I'm packing my bags to leave. Joey having his peace means so much more to me. Good, that's awesome. What steps got your wife to stay with you and be there with you while you understand and help you become the man she initially believed you were? The biggest steps that helped me is she left. Like that's the thing that you all need to understand. You're not going to help a narcissist and fix him while you're in the relationship. Like the biggest thing that she could do to help me was she left. She went away and she healed. And so I didn't have any contact with her. We were separated for about 5 months. And inside of that process, it helped me start to see that there was no one else I could blame because she was no longer in my life. Like there wasn't a piece that my wife had this huge, like supportive and loving piece of like, let me help and embrace all your feelings and you'll feel better and then you'll get better and all this kind of stuff. No, she didn't start with this piece anymore of just being like, let me just build a man and figure it out and put them all together. No, she left. She focused on her and her healing, and that's what actually shifted everything. Everything for her because then she healed, and for me, there was no one else to be able to blame because there was nobody else in my life. After 3 children with him and being in a marriage and relationship for 10 years, I've finally seen the cycles over and over. Now it's grown old, and I caught him, and he lies, and he smears campaign me. So, Jacina, let's see about working on getting you healed so that this no longer affects you and it no longer is something that holds you back. Right now we're running a challenge. We've got about another 7 days before we close the door on it, which is called Survivor to Thriver. You can go to rawmotivations.com and be able to click on that, just be able to see Survivor to Thriver. But it's a challenge that we're bringing a lot of people, breaking the trauma bond and actually helping them work through the triggers with tools and systems that we have and that we've been able to unlock for so many different people of how to heal and how to move forward. I left him in July. There was just too much hidden stuff. I guess I need to break contact 100%. You mean you need to go no contact 100%? No contact is not going to fix or heal you, but no contact oftentimes is a step inside of the process. At least you guys are lucky you only dated narcissists. Imagine him narcissists as your parents. A lot of people like are with narcissists because they had narcissists as their parents. So a lot of people are already predisposed to be with narcissists because they've already grown up with narcissists or they've been in narcissistic relationships before. So it's just a cycle that happens over and over and over again because it becomes what they're used to. You get comfortable in all of the shit and you keep going back to it over and over and over. The guy I'm married to literally yesterday told me at a public restaurant that he was mad at this lady the way she was dressed, saying she was a hoe and teasing him. I was completely blown away. Yeah, he was probably just like trying to flirt with her. And then he didn't get his attention, so he was pissed off. Like, there's probably a bunch of stories behind that. So you chose to work on fixing yourself, not being a narcissist, and love her in your life with her in return as a narcissist. That is a possible decision to make for yourself. 100% it's possible. Like, all of it is possible for someone to shift and transform. The difference is the willingness to be honest. Like, I was not willing to be honest for so many years. I was a liar at all different aspects of my life. And so until a narcissist is willing to be honest, no change can actually happen. And unless he's willing to be honest and actually deal with the truth, no transformation is actually possible. Can you speak on a situation where they hold all the finances and you want to leave? With that, you're going to have to get a job. You're going to have to go on welfare. You're going to have to get out somehow and then start from scratch. It's the only way that you can really do that. What's the likelihood of a narcissist I left 4 years ago by involving the police coming back once the probation and a no contact order expires next month? I would say typically it's highly probable, and I would be very careful, making sure that when it expires that you've got a lot of cameras and things set up to be able to get them thrown back in. A friend's birthday, and I'm trying to get as many YouTube live streams. Do they even have any treatments for narcissism, such as medication or therapy? There is no medication. They do have different therapy. There's different pieces they've been experimenting and working on, but there's nothing like necessarily tried and true of like, this is the magic bullet, do this and it fixes them. I left a cover narcissist because he said I was fucking the neighbor. Does he really believe that? Because everybody else was fine before that. No, it's not necessarily that he believes that. He was probably fucking the neighbor or someone else. So as a result, he had to project it and put it onto you so that he'd feel better about himself, or he'd feel justified for cheating on you because he was probably doing it already. I started my own bank account and kept all my money. Don't contribute to joint account. Yeah, 100%. Sorry, to be clear, were you a narcissist or were you in a relationship? Oh, okay. Yes, no, I was a narcissist, and inside... Sorry, should be back. Hopefully you can hear me. That was the weather alert flash flood warning up until 1 a.m. because of all the rain we're getting right now with Hurricane Milton going through. I don't know. Can you hear the rain? I don't know if you can hear the rain. I don't have my headset in because I was eating earlier and I didn't want you like chomping like my cereal. But there's like rain hitting the window just back on the other side of the kitchen. But no, narcissist I'm a narcissist, and on this channel to be able to help people understand about narcissism. So a lot of what I speak from is what I know, what I did, and how I showed up previously. There's a strange smell coming from my butt. What do you think it could be? I think it could be that you're getting blocked. So bye-bye. Don't bring that shit on here. How to deal with a smear campaign? Ignore it. Like seriously, ignore it and focus on you, your growth, your healing, your development. When you focus on like the smear campaign, you give it credibility and you give it validation. When you don't focus on it at all and you only focus on you and your growth, then people start to see, oh, like this person is actually not this way. Like the narcissist keeps saying that this person is awful, but they're not showing it. They're acting completely different. You're just a narcissist or too narcissistic to even admit to the narcissist. What made you realize that you were one? So I talked a little bit about some of my journey. I've got a couple of videos about it. There's a lot of different pieces inside of it. Part of it was recognizing shame. Part of it was recognizing that I connected and cared differently about different people, different personality pieces, going to a sex addiction intensive, realizing that that wasn't it. Inside of different pieces of therapy, just having different pieces of awareness that showed up and realizing that I was in charge of all the results in my life. And if I didn't like those, then I needed to change how I showed up. And I couldn't change how I showed up if I continued to be a liar. Why didn't you just find another woman who would obey, submit, and trust you? That's what my husband is looking for. The next, he swears, is my problem for not trusting him. So I did, and that's why I cheated so many times. But at the end of the day, there was also a piece of, hey, I never even tried with my wife. Right? I never even gave her a chance. I just got with her and then went to the next person. So like that could be a piece of it, as I could just keep going to the next person, but the problem is it would never fix the problem. It would never fix me. What about violence? When narcissists hate the silence of the fact that you left them. I've never felt in danger until I was ready to leave. I left in June because I woke up from the deceit. Yeah, a lot of times they'll get triggered into violence. They'll get triggered into that. So when you're going no contact, or when you're leaving or breaking up, if you feel that there's a tendency, make sure you're protected, make sure you're safe, make sure there's cameras, things to be able to help back you up legally too. Believe it or not, mine died recently. He apologized, acknowledged all I did for him. Did he mean it? It's hard to be able to say. It could have just been a last-ditch effort or something to make himself feel better. I have no clue. No clue. Majority of times, like narcissists, like don't have this epiphany moment, but who knows? No clue though. Good questions. All right, what other questions do you have? If you guys are just tuning in, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist to be able to help people heal from narcissistic abuse inside of finding closure, clarity, certainty, and confidence inside of who you actually are versus the shell of a person that you feel like after being drained emotionally and mentally from a narcissist. To clarify, empathy or wanting to be there for the narcissist will only give them power and make them worse Stay safe. Yeah, like empathy or wanting to be there for the narcissist is typically only going to make it worse because they realize, oh, I can tap you for supply and you keep giving it. Oh, fix me, right? Because it's all just to be able to keep you in the loop. I feel so strongly the narcissist I'm married to is cheating. Is really possible that he's not cheating. If you feel strongly that it is, like 9 times out of 10, women have like a really amazing gut that tells them way before they actually know. Even your body will start to tell you before you even know on a mental or a logical standpoint. The rain's getting louder. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was cheating. And I would trust some of you more than anything else. My twins, now 19, are finally seeing the dad's behavior for themselves. I thought this day would never come, but I'm sure glad I stayed quiet and didn't bash him. Yeah, 100%. You can't bash the narcissist with the kids because they will automatically go to defend them no matter what. So I'm glad that you didn't, because a lot of people are dealing with that at age 19 and they're like parental alienation. Is there a constant sign that a loved one might be a narcissist, or maybe a sign that is worth exploring further? There's 9 different traits, and the person has to have at least 5 of them be considered diagnosed. So you can look up DSM-5. You can look at 9 traits. Like, I've got a bunch of different pieces on that. So the only thing to do is leave and never go back. If the person is not willing to be honest, vulnerable, or show consistent change, yeah, because otherwise you're not in a relationship. You're in a situationship. I'm having a panic attack. Can you help me calm down? I think I am dying. Okay, so you need to get help, and you need to be able to take a pause and try to take a look at what's around you in the room. Find 5 different things you can look at that are different colors. Then find 4 different things that you can touch. Find 3 different things that you can smell. Find 1 thing that you can taste. Like, just go through the senses to be able to bring yourself back to where you currently are, what's currently going on. And blames me for making me feel insecure. Yeah, narcissist is always going to flip it around and blame you. I'm just realizing all this. I'm so confused, scared. I don't know what to think. I see all the things, hear all the stuff, but then second guess because he is not diagnosed. Yeah, he's not going to be diagnosed. Why would he get diagnosed with an incurable thing that no one's ever going to like or look? And that would definitely mean that you would leave. So forget the diagnosis, because guess what? Having the label narcissist doesn't fucking matter. The problem is you're going to wait till you get the diagnosis, which in reality just keeps you in the abuse for a longer period of time, having you sell yourself short. Why don't we actually look at what the real problem is? How is he being honest to you? How is he treating you with love, care, respect? How is he being transparent in what he's doing, what's going on? How is he belittling you? How is he putting you down? What is demonstrated inside of your life and inside of the relationship that is not abusive? Like, this whole piece that we need to understand is, like, it doesn't matter if he's a narcissist or not. What matters is how you're actually getting treated right here, right now. Is cheating ever about the way a person looks? I have low self-esteem about after my husband cheated. No, it's not about your looks. It's about what he wanted. That's it. Like, he just wanted somebody else, so he just went to somebody else. He just wanted to feel the high of cheating and getting away from it. He wanted the excitement of trying to hide something. It has nothing to do with your looks at all. Your low self-esteem is because you've been in a toxic relationship and maybe because of childhood or previous relationships, but he just used that to be able to keep beating you down over and over and over again. When I don't give him the reaction he's looking for, it infuriates him more. Is this normal and NPD? Yeah, 100%. Because he's looking for your reaction response. He gets supply off of that. He's excited when he gets what he wants from you. So when you don't give that, then he also gets pissed off. How do you make yourself less of an easy target to narcissistic bullies? I think there's something about my behavior and mannerism that signals that I'm an easy target for bullying. Know who you are and set solid boundaries that no one crosses, period. You do those 2 things, you will start to repel the people that are around you because you deal with honesty and you call it out when you see it. Do you get supply from these lives and have any channel in general generally occurs? No, not necessarily, because the supply on here oftentimes is like pretty crappy if we're looking at it from a toxic level. The level on here is we're trying to be able to help people heal, grow, change, and develop. And so the piece of, hey, on here and people are paying attention, does that make me feel better? No, not necessarily. It's more along the piece of like, how can I actually help you see and understand the abuse that you're currently in? Because if you don't see it to the point where not just you're consuming content and just seeing it, but that you actually take action and steps moving forward, nothing's going to actually change in your life. How can I connect further with you one-on-one for advice? You can go to rawmotivations.com/breakthrough, or you can click on one of the links that we have just to be able to fill out a quick application so I can be able to know a little bit about you, and then you has a chance for you to be able to book a call. rawmotivations.com. Does narcissism treatment involve medication? It does not. There's not an official narcissism treatment. If I sat in the living room listening to YouTube videos about narcissism, my husband happened to listen, would he be able to understand that he's a narcissist? Typically not. He'd just figure out what you're looking at, be able to research it, then turn around and call you the narcissist. Is it possible to convince a narcissist that a narcissist is the same way you were able to convince you're a narcissist? One, nobody convinced me. If anybody would have tried to convince me, we probably would have punched him in the face. My wife mentioned one time that I was a narcissist, and I gaslit her and a bunch of other people around to make sure that she believed that I wasn't a narcissist. So no, there's not a surefire way to be able to convince a narcissist that they're a narcissist. Why? Because when it comes down to it, if he can't admit or see that he's a liar, nothing else is going to matter. This is like a doctor that's trying to tell his patient that he has cancer, but the patient is unwilling to actually notice that he has a finger that's cut off. He's like, no, my finger's fine. Well, then you're not going to be able to convince him that he's a life-threatening disease called cancer. Too many people are worried about, can I convince him that he's a narcissist? Well, you can't even convince him that he's a liar. So at that point, why is he going to believe anything else? My spiritual master is a communal narcissist. I cannot leave him because I have eternal commitment to him. What do you advise me to do? Leave him because the eternal commitment I don't believe in, and I don't think that is something that actually locks you in fully. Because that's a piece where I don't know what religion that's tied to. I don't know what piece like has you connected to that. But I don't believe inside of any religion that it makes sense that you just need to get abused. So you need to leave and protect yourself. Do narcissists try to convince and manipulate loved ones that they are the sick ones? Yes, 100%. I lived with my mother for 12 years. Now I'm 46, and she doesn't. But yes, great questions. Is she finally asleep? If I'm not giving him sex, he treats me even worse in words. The unsaid thing is like he is faithful and just horny, but it's not enough sex, and alcohol makes it worse. Like he's way too far. Yeah, so he's probably going to go along the lines of like he's got like a sex addiction or something like that, so he can't help it, and you just need to give him more sex. He's faithful and just horny. Interesting. But it's not enough sex. If it's not enough sex, then he's probably trying to get it from somewhere else. Porn or other people. And alcohol makes it worse. Yeah. If the alcohol and the sedation piece are there, like again, that's going to be a piece that's going to block him from even being him even being aware or being willing to be aware, because he's not willing to be honest about those things. If you guys are new, just tuning on, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a narcissist on this channel to help people understand about narcissistic abuse, help them actually get closure and clarity, and help them heal from it. So I work with a lot of women that are trapped in toxic relationships to find clarity and closure, but also how to break the trauma bond and get rid of the addiction. If you want to know a little bit more about what I do and be able to watch a video about some of that, just go to rawmotivations.com. Is it normal for a narcissist to be overly emotional? There'll be some out there, but I wouldn't necessarily, that'd be just the norm. Maybe overly emotional in order to try to convince you or to play like the victim. I attract narcissists. What's it about me? Probably a piece of not having healthy boundaries and not knowing who you are. That's typically the common denominator that I see.
Did you fix the fuse?
Yeah.
I'm not going to turn it back on. I just noticed that light was still, but I guess it's turned back on.
It turned off because it's 10. He's so nasty to me, I almost died, but why is he nice and loving to the one he's cheating with? There's just a phase, just a period of time. And if he left you and went to that person, then he'd get to the place where you treat that person nasty and move on to the next person. What's the logic of withholding sex? Control. Narcissist mentally is not committed to marriage. They're typically not. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too. They just get married to stay close to you or to appear or look better in society. Yeah, there's a lot of times they're trying to like slip in and like appear better. Are there areas where there are higher concentrations of narcissists than others? I'm convinced there's something seriously wrong with the town I grew up in. When I left, people were nicer. I mean, I don't know that there's necessarily a population piece of it, but there's a lot of different aspects of it. Typically, what hurts a narcissist is you moving forward and healing, growing, and changing you. Like, oftentimes people are looking of like, how do I hurt a narcissist? One way to hurt a narcissist is to never think about them again and focus on your growth and your development. Why would a narcissist contact you years later with a different number if they really are not interested in you, especially if you've not spoken to them in years? Power and control, to be able to push your buttons, be able to see how they can actually get a reaction or response from you. I have borderline personality, and I've heard that BPD and NPD don't mix. The NPD always overpowers the BPD. Is this true? Yes, but typically they mix in a very toxic way because the BPD is afraid of abandonment and the narcissist is wanting the attention. And so oftentimes if they get aligned just right, they're kind of like this synergetic magnet that just keeps going round and round and round. But oftentimes it can be very, very toxic. Would a narcissist look for me and his daughter after years of us leaving him? I would not put it past. The main thing is that we focus on you healing. So even if he did walk up to you on the street, you wouldn't even think twice of just walking by him because you're so far healed and so far different that it doesn't even matter anymore. Is it possible that people that don't have NPD can start getting NPD traits after years of warring with a narcissist? Yes, oftentimes we call them narcissistic fleas, where oftentimes you pick up different traits or aspects that you use for survival that you end up taking into other relationships or even healthy relationships. Do you know any alcoholic narcissists? A lot of narcissists are alcoholic or on drugs or on different pieces as well because they're trying to find something to sedate so they don't have to actually deal with themselves. So they don't have to actually be accountable for who they are and how they're actually showing up. Great questions. Y'all are putting a bunch of great questions in here. If you guys want to have just different answers or of us walk through pieces of narcissism, narcissistic abuse, or just like the mind of a narcissist as you're walking through this, drop the questions in the chat. How can I tell if I'm dealing with a narcissist? If I am, what do I start doing? So I would go back even further and being like, are you dealing with a liar? And are you dealing with an abuser? The label isn't with the problem. The problem is your ability to actually see the facts and make decisions off of that versus trying to look for a label. If you look at the facts of the situation, how does the person in your life actually demonstrate honesty? How does he demonstrate love? How does he demonstrate care? How does he demonstrate respect to you? How does he demonstrate integrity? These are the questions you need to be asking and looking for facts, not your emotions, not your feelings, but looking for the facts. What are the facts about those questions and the answers to those questions? Because if you don't look at the evidence, you'll only look for, is he a narcissist or is he not a narcissist? We don't care. What we care about is if you're with a guy that's a liar, that's a cheater, that's an abuser. That's the main thing that we have to be able to look at, because if you can see that, then you can actually heal and move forward from it. If you can't see that, then you continue to like gaslight yourself just to keep going back and being with a toxic guy over and over and over again. And a lot of that goes back to even the trauma bond that you have with a toxic person that's like an addiction. Is violence a characteristic of a narcissist, or is that a certain kind? I would say it would be like different. There's different kinds of narcissists. I don't dive into all of them because there's so many different variations and how people want to define them. But yes, there's several. Like an overt narcissist would be the one that would have more of the aspect of like physical violence. You'd have like a covert that would be more like violent with those words and emotions, but not necessarily physically. Do you believe that someone who has NPD can become a dark healed empath? No, I don't believe that. I believe that someone could heal, but I don't really like the whole dark empath road. To me, some of it doesn't even make a whole lot of sense in my mind. And yeah, I just don't want to get into that. Why is every time I talk to my ex, I get stuck in a loop in our conversations, get sidetracked over and over and over again, like he's the only person I talk to, and my brain goes cloudy and foggy? It's because you're trauma bonded and you're addicted and you don't actually know how to be able to parse it apart and be able to work on the story that you're telling yourself, because he's selling you something. In that moment, he's selling you a version of reality that confuses you. He uses circular reasoning and logic, all the different types of things to keep you confused. Ultimately, you don't have boundaries and the clear-mindedness to be able to keep him on topic and keep him only on that topic. So it just keeps walking around you, confusing you so that you stay in the conversation. At the end of the day, you're still talking to this person. You're still like arguing with crazy. And he's going to keep doing that over and over because he keeps getting supply from you because you keep doing it. My estranged husband confessed to cheating at Christmas, but doesn't remember doing so. Then he confessed to being on dating apps. Again, doesn't remember. Is that narcissistic collapse? I wouldn't call it a collapse. I would just call it like this piece where They tell you and then they go back on it because they don't want to actually admit it. There's just a moment that he admitted it where it's actually true, but then he goes back to be able to feel better about himself because he's feeling shame or guilt about it. My lying, cheating, NPD ex of 6 months told his other girlfriend of 2 years that he moved in days after he asked me to be his girlfriend, that I was nothing, even though he told me that he wanted me to marry me. He'd been cheating on her for the entire 2-year relationship. Was I really nothing to him? He blocked me after we discovered. Short answer, he didn't care about you, and you were worthless to him. Now, pause before you jump off the live, before you get upset. I want you to understand that doesn't mean that you were worthless. That means that he wasn't willing to actually treat you with value, love, care, and respect. So don't let someone who treated you worthless make you actually believe that you're worthless, because that's not how it works. That's like someone off the street that walks into a diamond shop and is like, yeah, I could get that off the street for $5. Well, you could, but it's not actually real. So the difference is the valuation, you give the valuation over to someone who has no clue of what they're actually dealing with. You give it over to a narcissist, you're like, hey, please define me and show me that I'm worthless. You have much more worth, much more value than what this guy could ever even comprehend. But the problem is you start to look at him to validate your worth. It doesn't work that way. Did you put a narcissist out of being raised by narcissistic parents? No, not necessarily narcissistic parents. Is the one that got away, is that a real thing? Do they have contemplation, their past? Sometimes they do, not always. But the problem is if we go down that route, then many people on this live will be like, I'm the one that got away. You're fooling yourself and you're wasting a whole lot of time thinking you're like that amazing to the narcissist, when in reality he doesn't care about you, which is also why he's not here. Does he actually love her? How can he lie and cheat on her multiple women for the entire relationship? So I would ask you this. Is a person demonstrating love by lying and cheating into them? That's all you need to know. Because otherwise you'll be like, but he loves her because he keeps coming back. No, like she keeps letting him back, which is why he keeps doing it. Do male narcissists tend to have, I missed it. Do male narcissists tend to have mother wounds or disorganized attachment styles? That's sometimes there, but I wouldn't say it's 100% a trend. Thanks for answering my question. Do those narcissistic fleas, yep, that's the word. Do those narcissistic fleas, sorry, like jumped, end up narcissistic too, or do they heal once the narcissist is out of life? They heal if they choose to, but it has to be a choice. Like you have to actually be willing to heal. Otherwise, like you won't, right? But like narcissistic fleas are stuff that can be reversed. It's not like you're stuck and now you're a narcissist. You can't be a narcissist later on in life. You can pick up traits, but that's about it. How do I make a narcissist not enter my life again? Set solid boundaries and start to heal yourself so the person, when he walks back into your life, doesn't have any pull on your heart because you have fully healed. In couples counseling, why will they try to make you look like you're the one with the issues and abusive, and why? Yeah, they will try to do that, and they'll flip it around on you so he doesn't have to take accountability, responsibility, and doesn't have to deal with the shame and the guilt that it's his problem. He has to make it someone else's problem so he doesn't have to deal with it. Patrick. I don't know who Patrick is. Your videos have helped explain my CPSD to husband. You're welcome. Is no contact really the best, most powerful thing when dealing with a narcissist? Or you could stay in the relationship and try to heal and have it be the slowest healing ever. And no contact, it doesn't mean that it's guaranteed to fix you, right? Like no contact is just a piece inside of your healing journey. Like no contact is there to be able to give a buffer so you can actually heal, so you can actually grow and work on yourself. Do narcissistic people know what a trauma bond is, and is that their goal? No, not necessarily. It's not necessarily a piece that they know, oh, this is a trauma bond and this is how I'm going to put it in here. Okay? Just saw your post on your weight journey. You look amazing. Thank you. Appreciate it. My narcissist plans to ruin my business online. What should I do? Take whatever measures you can, whether that's legally or like online, to protect yourself and focus on you. Great questions. Can y'all hear the rain? I'm just like curious. How do I show love to a narcissist? Call him out and don't let him actually do anything. Like make sure that he actually knows that he's a liar. So my dad's a narcissist and keeps visiting my home no matter how many times I told him not to. Nothing so far has worked. What do I do? If he keeps coming to your home and you told him not to, the next step would be go legal route. Sounds the worst, but I mean, I know a lot of people that have done it. Yeah, right now we're like in the path of like Hurricane Milton. So like that's, what's that? 61, like the eye. The eye? Okay. Like the eye of the hurricane is passing 61 miles away.
It is like, basically we're going to be in the eye.
Yeah, Kayla was saying basically we're going to be in the eye once it comes across. How do I stop being afraid of even running into the narc? Haven't seen him for 3 years, but every time someone looks like him, my heart races, sweaty palms. I'm so tired of it. So we need to help you actually heal from it, because right now it's still a trigger and you haven't processed the triggers and the emotions tied to it. So it's always going to trigger you into a story, into emotion, into a physical response. So with that, like, I would love to be able to help you. Go to rawmotivations.com, because inside of this, we have to be able to help you rewire the story you're telling yourself so that you can run into him. It won't even affect you. Would you rather go back and change the things with the knowledge you've gained, or know the benefit value you've given others through your experiences? Well, that's what I'm doing, and that's where I'm at. I took a legal charge for my ex. Did he plot on me? I took a legal charge. I don't understand. Sorry, another alert with the hurricane coming in. What's the best way to not be tricked again by the next man? I don't want to be fooled again. Have healthy boundaries and know who you are and know the direction you're going, and don't let anybody pull you off of that. Typically, a narcissist comes into your life and he sidetracks you and sideswipes you on the road that you're going. If you don't have healthy boundaries, then like you're going to get pulled off to the side every single time. Do narcissists use women for sex? Yeah. And if so, why? I'm just so hurt and confused. He constantly wanted to sleep with me, but never was emotionally vulnerable. That's the majority of narcissists. A lot of times not being emotionally vulnerable and just wanting to get what they want in the moment. What made you think of going into this? Great question. Was never the plan. It was never the intention. Originally, like a couple of years ago when I started out on social media, it really wasn't even to coach or to work with people. Like now we've coached with like hundreds and we've met with like over 3,000 people. And inside of all of that, never would have expected it, never would have thought about it. It ended up being a piece where I originally started posting some of my content just to be able to share my story and be able to share, hey, this is the way that I'm burning the ships, by being 100% transparent to like everybody. And then it just kind of morphed, like little by little, into a bunch of different ways. I'm just gonna plug this in over here. What is? All right, hang on. The stand's in the way of me getting the phone plugged in. There we go. What is the trauma bond with the start of sex that it was good? I feel like I'm sad he would give that sex away. It seemed like it was good at first. Now I see the plan. I got to get away. So the trauma bond is you getting stuck with hope and potential that he's going to get better, that it's going to change. With you getting to a place of having cognitive dissonance, you don't even know what to believe. Like, does he love me? Does he not? Like, how do I actually move forward? Trauma bond has a lot of different things. If we don't help you rewrite it and rewire the trauma bond, you'll stay stuck forever. If someone grows up with a narcissistic parent, does that make them more likely to end up in a narcissistic relationship? 100%. A lot of times you will be so comfortable with the shit that you got put through as a young adult, as a young kid. It will feel comfortable to be in a toxic relationship. And if you don't heal from it, you will leave and you will go be with someone who's healthy, and you'll screw that up. Because healing has to happen for you to actually be in a healthy relationship. Why does the narcissist not answer when you ask to hang out sometimes, and sometimes it's super sweet? How to respond when they don't give a yes or a no? If they want to hang out, you focus on your growth and development and you hanging out with you, and stop looking to someone else to be there with you or for you. Thank you for everything. You're amazing. Sheena, thanks so much. I appreciate it. You hungry, bro? You didn't eat your meal prep? Oh. I didn't notice because you were on the other side dealing with Bella. What advice do you give a teenage son who just comes to the overwhelming observation that his dad is obviously someone with NPD? So advice like for you or advice for him? I think there's a bunch of different pieces in there. Big thing for you is being able to provide an emotionally safe place for him to be able to express who he is and how to actually like work through his emotions and feelings, which you can't do unless you heal as well. But a big piece inside of there is like, he's just gonna have to go through a lot of like different pieces of healing himself, and being able to process that is gonna be the biggest thing that's gonna help him. Joannes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for your videos, especially your picture posts. The messages are clear and make sense. I was able to heal smaller wounds just by watching on repeat. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Reach out if we can help you further. Go to rawmotivations.com. We've got a bunch of resources, challenges, different pieces that we're running. We're currently running a challenge called Survivor to Thriver. We've got about a week left before we actually close the door on this run with it. But it's a system that we put together to help people break the trauma bond, actually move forward inside their healing. It's been massively effective. Are narcissists self-aware? A lot of narcissists are self-aware. They just don't care. They don't care to respond or to be able to change who they actually are. Will narcissists ever get over their anger towards you if you give them a narcissistic injury? I feel like we're about ready to lose power. We might lose power in a minute. They just flickered. If you give it an injury by calling them names after they cheat and expose the affair to their family and friends. So the thing you have to understand with this, and I take a pretty hard stance on the narcissistic injury. A lot of people do not believe this. I don't believe that there is hardly many cases for narcissistic injuries at all. Yes, there could be pieces of it being exposure. That's probably the biggest one. But as far as like typically, you are not going to give a narcissist an injury because they're not going to be affected with it the same way that you are. How to set the boundary if they only respond if they want to hang out but ignore me if the answer is no? Why can't they just say no when they're busy? The games are dumb. So you have to understand that you're asking how to play the game with the narcissist. Why are you still playing? Like you're trying to figure out how do I navigate this? How do I set a boundary when he won't text me? You can't. Like, there's not a piece that's like, you're not allowed to do this if you don't text me. Like, no, like, you work on you and you focus on you because otherwise you're going to be waiting on the end of the line for this person to respond to you. And all he's doing is, like, waiting for you to just keep reaching out because he loves it. He loves the attention. Like, all you're doing is feeding him. Does being a dad help in finally realizing there's something off and you need to change? No, not at all. Didn't have a piece of it because I didn't care about my wife, didn't care about my kids. Would your wife be considered a narcissist if she cheated on you as a way of coping with you? No, a cheater does not make up a narcissist, but the majority of narcissists are cheaters. I looked at your eyes in your before pictures and your eyes now, big difference. So the narcissist I had the same eyes from you before. What's with the eyes? So it's interesting. I was in a group text about a year ago. Actually, it's probably longer than that. With some people, and they were like, I can always tell by their eyes. Super funny. So I like took a couple pictures and I just like snapped like pictures of my eyes, and I was like, I sent like there's like 3 or 4 photos, and I sent in a group chat, and I was like, which one's which? And they were like, oh, this one, and this one. I was like, yeah, I snapped all 4 of them like 5 minutes ago. And it was just funny because like sometimes people think that they can see. And I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying I've done my own personal, like just little interesting experiments, and it's kind of funny to be able to see. Do you believe in therapeutic settings and skills learned as DBT or STEP models? I actually don't know a ton about the STEP model, but DBT, yeah, 100%. I believe in those. Will those help with NPD? DBT can help with NPD. The biggest thing you need to understand is it doesn't matter what type of therapy for NPD. It matters if the NPD is lying. If he's lying, then any type of therapy is going to fail no matter what. How to keep the kids safe? Is it better to stay or go with the kids, especially when you have to share custody? So think of it this way. Would you rather the kids be in the relationship and see you put up with all the toxic shit that happens and have them think that's what their marriage or their life is supposed to look like? Or would you like them to actually be free and see completely opposites? Like see a healed you and a version where they can be healthy and happy together, and then they go to the other house and they're like, this is not where I want to be. Like, the problem is people stay in the relationships thinking that it'll help to keep the family together, but all it does is condition the kids to be in narcissistic relationship later. Do you have master's clinical counseling credentials? Nope, don't. Welcome to the channel. My narcissist older brother excluded me from the landscaping business, excluded me from being his godparents to his kids. It's worth fighting for something that has made me feel very upset. I don't think so, because at this point it sounds like all of that is like said and done. So why don't we focus on you developing your own business and just being your own godparent to your own kids or starting your own family? Like at that point, like why are we fighting it? Like what's the point? I see my daughter showing signs of her father's narcissistic behavior. Any advice on steering her in a better direction? She does point out some of her the behavior herself, so I just think her awareness is good. So one, she needs to have a safe place for her to be able to express all of her without judgment, because the judgment will produce this shame that will make her just continue to do it more and hide and lie. It's the biggest piece, is she has to be able to develop a healthy relationship with shame early on. Otherwise, if she doesn't, it'll continue to take her down that same road. If it's possible and safe to leave, then do it for sure, 100%. How to know if they're really changing? Honesty, vulnerability, and consistency. You have to be able to see this consistent shift. This is why you can't see it overnight. It has to be a long term. Do you really think people should stay away from narcissistic men if no kids involve blood relationship? I don't really care about the kids' involvement or blood relation. Yes, I think they should stay away from narcissistic men, especially if that person is abusing, because at the end of the day, that's the biggest thing we're looking at. Is he a liar? Is he a cheater? Is he not willing to be vulnerable? Is he not showing consistent growth and development? Then stay away. Focus on you. Focus on your own growth. Focus on your own development. A lot of what we teach and a lot of what I do inside of Raw Motivations is helping you find your own confidence, your own clarity, regardless of what he said to you, regardless of what's happened, so you can actually heal, grow, and change you. If we don't do that, everything else is going to fall apart. At the end of the day, the biggest thing is not the label. The label like triggers everybody, and they're like, oh, let me look at the live and hear from the narcissist. Okay, I'll tell you about narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder. I'll tell you about how to heal from it, how to heal with trauma bond. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're with a narcissist or not. If you're with a liar, leave. Did you ever gaslight Kayla to see if she's still on the ball? Do you ever, okay, so you're talking about now. Do you ever gaslight Kayla to see if she's on the ball and can recognize it, 100% call you out? Yes, she does call me out on anything, even if it's like, I'm just saying something or joking. She's like, no, that's what this is. I'm like, oh, okay, yep, you're right. I mean, intentionally gaslighting, not like the last time with your bank card. No, yeah, that was just like, that was a post that I did. That was a while ago. You've been watching for a while. It was like 2 years ago. Remember the bank card? What effects on a child would growing up with a narcissistic parent cause? Oftentimes inside of a narcissistic parental relationship, the child will either become a narcissist or become codependent and be with a narcissist down the road. Thank you for all your help and enlightenment. I healed over a year from a horrific divorce. Thank God I survived and healing. I'm glad to hear that. Is an emotional affair justified as an excuse versus physical contact? No. Like, whether he's, yeah, no, it's not. Like, so he's going to try to be able to justify it no matter what, because he wants to have his cake and eat it too. Like, he wants to be right. And so he's just going to do what he wants. How do you know if they're genuine being vulnerable or using past trauma to manipulate? If it's past stuff, then it's fake vulnerability. If it's present stuff, then there's a higher chance of it being real. But when it's in the past, it's all fake vulnerability. I completely love your shirt that speaks lions, not sheep. Appreciate it. It's my friend's birthday today. Thank you for answering the questions. Do NPD, thank you for the gift. Do NPD men get jealous when their ex moves on with another high value man? A lot of times you'll see that, but it's not just necessarily because the other guy is high value. It's because the narcissist in your life thinks that he owns you. So the fact of the matter that you went and left and went to another person, they feel betrayed. Like, how could you do this to me? Right? Because he owns you. My narcissistic ex reeled me in for sex after 6 months withholding. They cut me off 24 hours later. What? It's the... What? What? It's the magnets. And it's what? Hurricane Milton is pushing a lot of wind and rain on us right now.
The worst of the wind from here is 12.3.
So we'll be upstairs asleep. We'll be fine.
No. We will not be sleeping.
Just wake me up if the house blows over. Thank you. You're welcome. I'm blocked again. What's going on? It's been 4 months now. Is he gone for good? So you need to understand that he's gone for good when you decide that he's gone for good. It's not if he's going to come back. It's when he's going to come back. It's when you actually decide that he doesn't come back into your life. Constantly refer to me as his I was possession. Yeah, 100%. From now on, should I not tell anyone anything about what I am doing? I don't know what that's going to. Praying for y'all. Which state are y'all in? We are in the I We are going to be in the eye of the Hurricane Milton that's coming across Florida. So it's going to be interesting. Why did my ex always start having the same issues and complaints that I would bring to him first initially, almost like rewording the original things? That's just projection. It's like being able to flip it back onto you. I really appreciate the work that you do, how you break everything down and give the real straight up. Thank you, I appreciate it. And claim as his own. Yeah, he's going to be able to switch it around as his own. Older brother purposely sabotaged me for buying a vehicle for myself, intentionally told my parents and siblings that I was buying a vehicle. If I was to buy a vehicle for my own well-being from now on, should I not tell? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like it's healthy to be able to tell the people that are around you if it's something that's like coming back to bite you. Why does my narcissistic ex still stalk my social media and boyfriend even though he remarried? It's still a piece of power control. He still thinks he has some sort of power and control over you simply because he has that knowledge. I would just block him. Like, why give him even the opportunity? Maybe he's looking on different accounts that you can't really block, then I'd just ignore it. Focus on you growing and developing you. A narcissist is easy to manipulate. Some, I wouldn't say all. Are narcissists really happy with the new supply? Does narcissist die, or does it newness die off quickly? It's not necessarily that they're happy with the new supply. They have to pretend and look and feel like they're happy with the new supply so they can stick it to you. So they can make you feel bad that they're with a new person and you're not with them. But all it is it's just a new high. They're just chasing the new high so they can be with the person. But then like when it doesn't work out or when it's not what they want, then they just move on to the next person. The narcissist tried to shape the next partner into you because the one line I used to tell him that he told me was lady like it was his own. A lot of times they'll try to shape the person based on either a certain image or a certain person. Could be you, it could be someone else, could be a certain type that they want. There's a lot of times different shaping that happens. Ultimately, he's trying to shape you into the best servant, right? The slave that he can be able to control and manipulate. I got something in my eye. How would you recommend identifying a narcissistic boss while you're interviewing for a job? I have a pretty good resume, so they lie, but I find out too late. That's a really good question, which I'm not sure I have a good answer for. You could ask like the one question of like, how much do you identify with this statement? I am a narcissist. Trying to think like boss wise. I think I'd be looking down the roads of questions about control and like micromanagement and different pieces like that, but trying to be able to work around it so you could actually see or hear more from them. That's a really good question. I just don't have a really solid answer for that. I'm sorry. Why does my ex keep repeating how I hurt him? And says he only pushed me, he strangled me face to face while being ahead of. So like he's gonna keep saying that because that's his one thing to make himself feel better for all the abuse that he already did to you and to ignore the stuff that he did. That's it. It's just a way to be able to ignore it. You're welcome. If you guys are new joining on here, my name is Ben Taylor. Myself, we're a narcissist on this channel to help provide awareness of narcissistic abuse. So I work to help free women that are stuck in toxic relationships with guys that are just like how I used to show up. Toxic, liars, cheaters, abusers, and to be able to find closure, break the trauma bond, and eradicate the trigger. If you guys want to know more about what I do, you can go to rawmotivations.com. Why my narcissist husband cannot accept that I decided to divorce him. I already have a lawyer, but he doesn't want to leave the house or submit to the documents necessary to begin the divorce process. He's not going to, so you're going to have to go legal route. Like that's pretty much the fastest way that you're going to do this. He doesn't want to do it probably because of his image. He doesn't want to look like the bad guy. If you catch a narcissist early, call them out, break up, and they're initially angry, but then agree to break up, and they don't seem to care, let you go. Does that mean goodbye forever if no games? Possibly, but I would always plan on a person coming back. Maybe asking other people who work at the company or the boss if they enjoy working there. Yeah, that's a good one too. What is it that you feel yourself being bonded with your wife that you know you weren't doing before? Communication, big one. Being able to deal with stuff vulnerably and be able to work through big problems that before we get swept under the rug. Actually being able to have arguments and work through that without it turning into rage, without it turning into gaslighting. Us being able to talk and work through things has been massive. Be very careful with Hurricane Milton. Yeah, we're prepared as best we can right now, and right now we're just waiting it out. So we're not in a place. We're not in a place where we're gonna get any flooding, so we're good there.
Well, we're not in an evac zone.
What?
We're not in an evac zone. We're getting flash flooding, but.
Yeah, we're not. We'll have like flash flooding stuff, but not necessarily stuff that's gonna affect us like right here, and we're not in an evacuation zone, so we're good. Do you drink beer or cider? I don't. I don't drink because I know I have a very addictive personality, so I don't really touch the stuff. I'm currently getting my master's degree in psychology. My ex was super happy for me until it was almost time for me to graduate, then hated it now. And now I'm stupid. Why? Because he saw that you were actually starting to be able to have the knowledge and the stuff to be able to step away from him. And so then he's got to beat you back down into submission so that you still feel dependent on him. Narcissist married his new supply just weeks after he found out that I had married. He'd call, ask about my sex life with my hubby. Eventually I blocked him, and he never got a chance to stick it to me. That's awesome. No, I don't know what you're talking about, so you can stop reposting it a million times. Are you guys up north from Florida? Yeah, we're in Florida. Why does my husband refuse to accept responsibility for his words or actions? Will that ever change if he can start accepting accountability? So like a big thing inside of here is just like understanding that if he's not willing to be honest, then nothing's going to change. Okay, like if he's refusing to accept responsibility of his actions, will that ever change? Like that's the hard thing is like you're being like, he hasn't refused, when's it going to magically shift? It's not going to magically shift. So like if he's not willing to be honest, like nothing's going to change. Really getting some of the crazy people out tonight. All right. Do you have any siblings? I do not. Just me. Divorced, but waiting on him to finish emptying out a room to sell a house. He's not moving much. He's gotten a place with a girlfriend, but sleeps here. Yeah, he's not going to actually like try. He's not going to actually try to be able to move stuff out because it still keeps him connected to you. I would get rid of his stuff. I would send it back to him. I would do a bunch of stuff just to get it out of your house so you can make it happen. How do you avoid a narcissist in the future? I'm sort of afraid of repeating another abusive relationship. Heal. If you don't heal fully, then don't be surprised if you fall back into it because you're used to it at this point, especially if you've had a cycle or especially if you've been with multiple people that have been narcissistic. Like you have to be able to heal fully, which is rewiring the story you're telling yourself, which is breaking the trauma bond, which is eradicating the triggers, which is having healthy boundaries so that no matter what, you can move forward and not get sucked back in. Image is a big thing for narcissists, and I hope my running back to the country and leaving him in his country causes a lot of shame. Do narcissists think of you when you go no contact? Feels like they don't care at all. They don't care at all. When you go no contact, that could be a way to try to stick it to them, but there's no guarantee. The biggest thing to stick it to them is you growing, developing you. Did God play a role in your life before when you were actually a narcissist versus now? Yes and no. And the reason why I'd say it like that is yes, God played a role in my life because I could walk the talk and I could look like the nice Christian and still be the abuser. I don't really think that there's a person who follows or says they follow God and is still an abuser. They're just simply abuser. I don't believe in Christian abusers. Put it that way. Now, the other piece is like, did God have an influential piece inside of my healing, my growth and development? So you could say yes in the aspect of like having things in my life that pointed me that direction. But the other aspect I would also say no, because he also gives people free will. And with free will, it means I could choose or I could deny the things that are actually happening. And for the longest time, I denied everything because I was a liar. So as a result, I cut off all communication with God because I was lying to myself. Therefore, I couldn't even connect to God. Do you think a person who is an only child has more potential to be a narcissist? I don't have any backing to be able to say either way. I wouldn't necessarily say yes, but I can see where you're going with there. Every time I asked if things were going to change, he'd say, maybe. Give me a story about how what I did was him as a place of doubt. How can narcissists be like this for a year? No conscience. Yeah, that's just how they are. Like it's hard to be able to explain that. But like when you realize that he thinks that the world revolves around him, anything goes. Could you give an explanation of what I text, please, so I go on my life? I don't know what you text. I don't really know what you're talking My ex acted so religious when people saw him, but at home he was different. Yeah, 100%. Like a lot of narcissists are inside religion, inside politics, because they can put on a mask. A lot of religion is about conformity, not about connection. So when we talk about religion, we even talk about like Christianity. We even talk about like Baptists. We even talk about like non-denominational. We talk about a bunch of different those, right? And a lot of them are about conforming. They're about how do you put on an image? How do you act a certain way? How do you put God in a box that says this is who he is and this is how you have to respond? All that is trying to be able to get more people to show up and act a certain way, but there's no honesty, there's no truthfulness, there's no vulnerability inside of a lot of these religions, which is why a lot of people come to church very plastic, and they show up and they're like, I'm good, but they don't actually deal with any of the shit that's inside. They preach about it and talk about it and gloss over it with like a 5-minute sermon, but that's about it. With the childhood trauma for you to see yourself as a narcissist, not necessarily trauma in the aspect of like, hey, I got abused, but a piece of like an emotional lack of support. And so different aspects that came out of shame and different aspects that came into the place of, hey, how do I actually get away from being held accountable and dealing with that shame and dealing with those pieces? After work, if you call your spouse and they snap at you for calling and immediately accuse you of tracking them, they reveal that they were at a bar. Is that a sign they might be with someone? Possibly. Alternative is for what? What were you talking about? Do narcissists claim to be a religion but do not practice at all for the sake of good image? Good image is a huge piece of it, right? So they can look or feel it better. Here comes the wind.
Sorry, finishing boarding up the door. So, well, putting the board. We have like sliding glass doors, like big sliding glass doors, and so he's putting a piece of wood there to make sure that it doesn't.
Commercial by Kayla.
Yeah. What is it? When there's like a pause in the show, like
intermission.
Intermission, yeah. I'm your intermission.
I think like as it gets worse, we'll just go upstairs because it'll just freak you out.
I mean, I'm not really. I already know that I'm not gonna get much sleep tonight because I'll hear it upstairs. It'll be.
Well, yeah, but you won't see the doors like.
I mean, there isn't much that we're gonna be able to do with those doors. Like that'd be some big freaking plywood.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
So. Not really sure.
It is what it is.
Isn't that the one that you said that's the one that you're most afraid that would break if it did break?
But I mean, they are like heavy doors.
Yeah, they're hurricane doors. Yeah. So.
Anyways,
thanks, guys.
chill.
Yeah, we're prepared. So just inside.
Just see what happens.
I think they said that, I just was like looking at the news and they said that it's officially supposed to be on like the East Coast by 8 a.m. So basically through the whole night. We'll just have to get through the whole night.
I'm going to bed soon.
Until you get woken up by the wind.
That's fine. It is what it is.
Have to go pump.
Alright, I'll wrap up in a minute.
Are you just gonna bring Harley's bed in?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Cause I'm like, I don't think I don't know how the garage sounds out there, cause our cars are like right in front of it.
I mean, I can go out there and look. What's he doing?
Just chilling.
He looks guilty.
No, it's just they keep destroying the bed.
We need to get rid of that bed. Anyways. How prevalent do you think narcissism is in the U.S.? Very. I was incredibly sick the last decade, literally on feeding tube and everything. I was too sick to leave or care. I started regaining my health a year ago, and he assaulted me. I hope you're getting free now. Thanks for answering all the questions. God bless you. I'll be safe. Thank you. Would a narcissist that has ED cheat? He probably is. That's probably why it's happening. It's embarrassing enough to go with me with a new one. That's the problem. The thing is, he might only have that with you because he's getting it up with someone else. Like, you have to understand, like, a lot of times there'll be an excuse. Since narcissism is a mental issue, then should a spouse stay to help the narcissist like any other mental issue or physical illness? No, they shouldn't, because it's also a choice. So think of it this way. If we want to go down the route and believe that it's 100% a mental issue, let's think of it for a moment. If it's 100% a mental issue, then why doesn't he treat everybody else the same way? If it's 100% a mental issue, then why, if he's treating you like shit, why doesn't he treat everyone like shit? He doesn't. He puts on a mask. He can actually choose. He can turn it on and off who he wants to. But he's unwilling to deal with the stuff that's inside. He's unwilling to actually be honest with himself. So as a result, he's going to continue to do it. You have to understand, you think, oh, maybe if I stay with him, maybe it'll get better. Here's the thing. He doesn't care about you and he doesn't respect you. So why is it going to magically get better when you stay with him because you're the person that he doesn't care about and that he doesn't respect? Narcissist husband, so then they could choose not to. Yeah, 100%. But they're unwilling to choose not to because they're unwilling to be honest with themselves. Why won't he leave me alone? He has an entire family and he doesn't want to be with me, but he won't leave me alone. So, Jana, the thing you have to remember is he's not going to leave you alone. You have to be able to block so that you actually work on you. Like, so you actually make sure that there's no other way for him to get to you.
Sorry, I didn't realize it was so loud.
Can narcissism be cured? Not if the person's not willing to be honest. Was it so hard to untangle the damage why was it so hard to untangle the damage he created? Yeah, 100%. It's hard for you to be able to heal. Been over 4 years. I'm married now. Awesome partner. Why does the narcissist randomly pop in my head still? Not a trigger or anything like that, but still an intrusive thoughts of his name every other day. So that's still from a trigger. So even though you don't know what the trigger is, it's still from a trigger. There's no way that things just pop into your head without it actually being there internally to start off with. There has to be a trigger there to start off with. Are some narcissists generally quiet to keep their secrets as a sense of control? He states that he cannot live without me as we're just roommates. Yeah, it would be more of like a covert narcissist or even a communal. Did you know how you were hurting our loved ones before you started healing? Didn't really care. That's the thing you have to understand. Narcissists do not care about the hurt that they're causing. They care about the end result. And if you're the casualty to get to the end result, it doesn't really matter. How to heal from damage caused by a narcissistic person. We have to be able to heal the trauma bond and help you heal the triggers. If you want to know more about that, because that's specifically what I do, just go to rawmotivations.com. I'd love to tell you more and show you more of what we actually do. Does he 100% understand when he's gaslighting me? Yeah, because he has to be able to understand it logically to be able to convince you of another piece of it. Ask someone who is suspect to be narcissist, if his daughter is being treated the way he treats me, then what would he tell her? He told me she's not at that stage, so he never considered that. Yeah. What job do you do? I help people heal from narcissistic abuse. I can't tell if he's deflecting or if he was actually telling the truth. What do you think? No, I'd say he was telling the truth, like he'd never even considered it, because he probably hasn't. Like, he's not really even thinking about another person at all. So if they care, then they aren't a narcissist. It is confusing at a time. If they care, then they aren't a narcissist. So you're saying like all people that care aren't a narcissist because a narcissist couldn't care. A narcissist cares the majority about his image, about his money, and about supply. So it would be too much of a blanket statement to be like, if this person cares, then they are not. And if this person doesn't care, then they are. But I see where you're going with that. But you just have to understand, like, at the end of the day, like, a narcissist cares about himself. That's the main piece. Why are some narcissists interested in flirting with girls in other countries? My ex is in the military and become fascinated with being a passport bro. Is that just for fun, or are they serious about these girls? I want you to think about the question you just asked. Is he serious about these girls? Okay, is he proposing and marrying them? No, then he's probably not fucking serious about these people, and he's just being a hoe. Because all that's happening is he's just flirting with other people, trying to be able to connect with other people, trying to be able to get some. Like, at the end of the day, you have to be able to see they do not care. All they're trying to do is just be able to be with other people because they want to feel that high, that connection for a brief moment, because they're searching for this piece of happiness, but they never find it because they can't even experience joy. Do you ever have to fight with your own nature? Does it get easier with time and awareness? It gets easier with time and awareness, and the reason why I say that is because it's like going to the gym. When you first go to the gym, you can only lift like 5-pound weights, and then you keep going, you can lift 15, 20, 30, 45, 60, and it becomes easier. And so the piece that I'm doing is I'm constantly strengthening my mind, my body, my soul, all the different pieces so that I don't have to fight this. So it becomes natural for me not to do the things that I used to do. This is the art of transformation, being able to grow and rewire the mindset, the thought process of how I'm actually showing up on a day-to-day basis. So being able to change and shift how I'm showing up honest, how I'm showing up vulnerable, how I'm showing up consistently. So to be able to do all these things, to be able to say, if I continue to do these, it continues to eradicate even the tendencies of wanting to go back to that type of toxicity. Great question. All right, any other questions? We're gonna wrap up for this evening. It's getting late. I need to get to bed, whatever sleep that we'll have based on the wind and the rain that's happening with Hurricane Milton going over. But we will see. So, should be good. Anyways, how did you become aware? That's a longer question, longer answer than I have time to answer inside this. But you can look up Self-Aware Narcissist underneath my channel, be able to see. We're in the Orlando area, so the eye of the storm is going to be going right over us. 100%. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. When I get hurt, I want to seek revenge. Does this mean that I'm a narcissist? No, it just means that you're hurt and you'd rather take it out on him than you would heal yourself. Because wanting revenge means that you're sacrificing your own healing. You're saying, hey, I can heal or I can get revenge. You choose. Ultimately, it comes down to this simple concept. We'll wrap up with this. You can either be right or you can get what you want. In your mind, you can be right and you can be vindictive and you can like make him try to make him pay, right? Or you can actually get what you want. You're like, well, I want revenge. Okay, but once you get that, what do you actually want? You actually want healing. Like you actually want to heal and grow and develop and change who you are. Or you can sacrifice that and you can get revenge. So it's a piece and it's part of it inside the healing process, but you need to understand, like, you can't have both. You can't heal and still be vengeful. It just doesn't work. So, we're gonna be wrapping up. Do you ever give live presentations? We do webinars, so that's a piece. Did you hear the wind? Yeah, it just came through a little bit. Yeah, I do. I have a couple masterclass webinars that we have. I also work with people one-on-one inside of different groups and group coaching that we have. One of the programs that we're wrapping up this coming week is called Survivor to Thriver. It's a 30 benchmark group with a lot of tools, a lot of systems, and currently it also has 8 group coaching calls that you get with me and with people that are going through that challenge. But that's wrapping up this coming week. We don't do anything right now in person. Everything is virtual because we service people all over the globe. So we've got people we work with in like Britain and the UK. Like we've got people in Australia, Germany, Switzerland, Netherlands, like US, like all over the place, Canada, right? Because there's a lot of people that are dealing with narcissistic abuse everywhere. It's just more prominent inside the US, but it's still worldwide. So anyways, y'all have a blessed and a wonderful, wonderful evening, wherever you are. For anybody that's watching this that's in Florida, be safe, and we'll be praying for you as well, because we're going through the eye of the storm here. And inside of like all of this, like I want you all to be able to heal and be able to grow and develop and shift you and your mindset and your thought process. If I can help with this, please just take the time to go to rawmotivations.com. Inside of there, there's a video that I have that I want to be able to share with you just on what I do. And if you resonate with it, fill out the application for us to talk, see if it's a good fit to be able to help you move forward piece by piece. If you're trauma bonded, if you're stuck, if you feel like you're in an addictive cycle with this person, you will not break it unless we can break the trauma bond. So we'd love to help you reach out. Let's talk. Let's figure out where you're at, help you move forward. Because if we don't break the trauma bond, that's the biggest piece that'll keep you stuck. And if you stay stuck and confused, you won't make any moves for you and you won't grow and develop you at all. So hope you all have a blessed, wonderful night, and we'll see y'all next time. Y'all take care.